So you want to outsource your greeting cards. Should you do it? Well, the answer is a definite maybe, and it depends. Just kidding. There's some considerations I want to walk you through and also a cost analysis before we get to the final decision. So cue the intro. Hi, this is Nam from Easy Sunday Club. We make videos regarding strategy, how-tos, and watercolor tutorials to help artists and designers turn their creative daydreams into reality. In this video, we talk about the ins and outs of outsourcing your greeting card production. The way I want to break up this conversation is into three parts. First, I want to define what actually outsourcing your printing means. Second, I want to do a cost comparison analysis of how much we pay to print our cards in-house versus working with an outside printer. And third, I want to walk you through a list of considerations when trying to choose between printing the cards yourself or working with an outside printer. So what does outsourcing your printing actually mean? Outsourcing your printer means that you work with a local printer or even an online printing company to print your greeting cards, and they will crease the greeting cards and send them back to you. At that point, you will add an envelope and put them into any plastic packaging, and then you can send it to your retailer or sell it yourself. Printing your cards in-house means that you're using your own fine art printer to print your greeting cards, and then you yourself do the creasing, put the envelope, put the plastic packaging, and then you go about and sell your cards. So how much does it cost to print cards ourselves versus outsource the printing? Well, I have a cute little chart to show you that'll walk you through just that. So this is a cute little chart I made. We're assuming that we are making A2 size greeting cards. A2 is 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches. I have three columns. The first column is the cost of printing in-house at Easy Sunday Club. The second column is a local printer that we found in Southern California and how much they charge to print cards. And the third is an online printer we found, but on the high end. So you can kind of see the range from low end, which is local, to high end, which is high third-party printer online. The first two rows are the A2 paper costs and the ink costs. For Easy Sunday Club, it costs us 8 cents per cardstock page to print an A2 card, and for ink, it costs 22 cents per page. The cardstock we use is a 100-pound white linen cardstock, and we'll have a link to it below. For the ink, it was based off of our Epson P800 fine art color printer, and we were able to get an estimate of that price from Red River Printing and also from our artist friend Latrengo, who gave us some information to make this video. I'll give you a link to her Instagram in the link below. For our local printer costs, they don't have separate paper and ink costs, so it's all rolled into one. They charge 74 cents per card. On the high end, for an online printer, they charge 90 cents per card. For envelopes, we use a slightly more premium envelope, and that's 13 cents per envelope. We have a link to the envelopes that we use in the show notes below. For a local printer and for the high end, they will charge about 11 cents per envelope. There are also some printers that throw in the envelope for free. Most of the time, it's your basic white envelope. So for shipping, if I print in-house, I don't have to worry about that. Also, if I print local, I don't have to worry about that either. For online printers, I've seen shipping costs range from free to $6 to $15. So it just depends on where you live. For the sake of adding this to the cost per card, I estimated 11 cents per card for shipping. Of course, you may say that, hey, for our in-house materials, we have to pay shipping when we buy those materials. Well, one of the things that we do is that we buy our materials in bulk, everything from the cardstock to the plastic sleeves to the envelopes, so that we can take advantage of free shipping when we can. So that's why even if we print at home, our shipping is still $0. So the total per card to print in-house is 43 cents. The total for our local printer is about 85 cents. And on the high end of an online printer, we found it to be $1.12, which is pretty high. So now let's look at the profit. So assuming that we sell each one of our cards for $5, the profit would be $4.57 if we were to sell the cards in person. For a local printer, seeing that they cost 85 cents, if we sold a $5 card, our profit would be $4.15. And then for the outsourced printer on the high end, online, that would be $3.88. Now let's extrapolate that out to 100 cards. So for 100 cards, that would be $457 in profit if we printed in-house. If we went with the local printer, that would be $415. And if we went with an outsourced printer, it would be $388. Now, if you look at the difference of how much more I'm paying to work with the printer compared to what I am paying in-house, I'm paying an extra $42 to print locally, or I'm paying up to $69 to work with an online printer. So since we're paying extra money for these printers, what value are we getting out of that? So let's talk about some things to consider when thinking about whether or not you should outsource. The first thing I want to talk about is time. How much is your time worth? Your time has a value. For the hours it might take you to print and score your cards yourself and the money that you save, could you be doing something else like marketing your cards, creating more different cards, or even napping? Also, if Target or another big company puts in a 5,000 card order, this could be really overwhelming for you to do in-house. So a third-party printer will probably have the time and resources to handle the scale so you don't stress out. However, on the other end, outsourcing may not be the time saver that you think it is. Keep in mind, there's time you have to put in to manage the printer. May it be an online printer or a local printer. There are proofs that you have to review and samples to make sure that the color is on point and the quality of the cardstock and the envelopes are the ones that you want before you put in a big order. Also, although they crease the cards for you, you still have to physically put the envelopes into the cards yourself and also package the cards if you have to put them into any plastic sleeves. There are also minimum orders which you will have to deal with. Some printers don't want to deal with orders less than 100 or 1,000 because they want to make it worth their time as well to take this print job on. There are also a lot of options and decisions that you have to make. You have to think about whether or not you want round corners or sharp corners. You have to think about what type of cardstock. You have to think about the color of the envelope and the cardstock. The next thing you have to worry about is inventory management. Is 100 cards in your order enough? Is 1,000 cards enough? Are you going to be able to sell through it? When you have a printer at home, you can just print whenever you want. Last, there's shipping fees. When you buy it from an online printer, of course there'll be shipping fees to ship it to you. Every once in a while, you'll find an online printer that will actually not have any shipping fees at all. But even if you go through a local printer, there's still the time that you have to take to go pick it up from them. And at the end of the day, even when you think you've given all the directions to the printer and you've hired the best printer, there can still be mistakes. Every major card maker that we know has some sort of horror story about working with their printer and things still being screwed up. So that's the time component. Another consideration that you'll have to think about is the startup costs to printing cards and prints at home. Now, I've gone over some of the startup costs in my greeting card setup video, which you can find in the link below. In those videos, I have greeting card business setups that range from $500 to $2,000 depending on your budget. Basically, it's not cheap, but also at the same time, these tools can really cut down on the time it takes to make these cards yourself. If you decide to outsource your printing, you don't have to pay any of these startup costs. You don't have to buy a printer. You don't have to buy a trimmer. You don't have to buy a creaser. All those costs are taken on by the printer themselves. And besides the time, that's why you're paying them the extra money, because you're using their really nice equipment. But in the long term, what I want you to think about is that you may be paying up to hundreds to thousands of dollars in costs that you are giving to the printer instead of maybe keeping it yourself. If you're okay with that, great. If you're not okay with that and you'd rather keep those extra profits to reinvest into your business, then that's just something you should consider. So should you outsource your printing? Like I said in the beginning, it depends. The too long didn't read version is if you don't want to buy any equipment and you don't have the time, go ahead and partner with a local printer or with an online printer to print the cards yourself. However, if you want to have total control over the entire process and maximize your profits and you do have the equipment, you should go ahead and try printing it yourself. What does Easy Sunday Club do? We personally keep our printing in-house because it allows us to experiment more and make smaller print runs. Kathy has shiny object syndrome, as she's talked about before, and if she has a new idea for like a Netflix and chill card with the dog, then she's gonna go ahead and make it, and we can make it really easily, try out that concept, and find out whether or not it sells. If the colors don't turn out the way we want it, we can change it right there and then. We have all this flexibility by printing at home. Another strategy that we see other card makers do is with their big bestseller cards that they know do really well at fairs and online, they'll actually partner with an outside printer to print those because they know that those will sell through. So it's worth the time and the extra money to get those done by outside printer. However, with their newer concept cards they do not know will sell well yet, they'll go ahead and print those in-house themselves and test and experiment and improve and iterate to see whether or not it's outside printer worthy in the future. So that's about it. Let us know if this has helped you to make your decision of whether or not to outsource your printing or to even keep it in-house. We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to Hulk smash that like button and feel free to subscribe to support.